In this video, I'll be working through the question you can see on the screen here from the summer 2025 Cambridge A-Level Maths papers 2.2 and 2.3. They're actually the same paper. I'm going to try and show you how to do this question and not just the solution. So definitely pause and rewatch certain parts of the video as you need to. If you are looking for a different question from one of these papers or a different paper entirely, you should be able to find a playlist in the description below. If you can't, have a look around on my channel. Okay, let's get into the maths. In question 5, we're given this polynomial here that's missing two pieces of information, A and B, and we're asked to find out what they are. To help us do that, we're given two clues. Those two clues are, they've told us that 2x minus 1 is a factor and x minus 3 is also a factor. Now, there's two ways to do this question. I tend to show one way that's a little easier, but I like to mention the other way because it's one of my favorite ways to do it. What you could do is divide each of these into this, and what you'd get, hopefully you remember how to do long division of algebra. You divide this in here, you'd get a longish mess, a little long mess, and at the end you'd have something A plus something B, and you know it equals 0 because there's no remainder if it's a factor. And you'd also get a bit of a mess up here, and you get that twice. These two bits of information in A and B down here is enough clues to answer for A and B. And what you get up here, the mess you get up here, is actually useful for the second part of the question. It's not that useful in this case though, so I won't show that way. The way I'm going to show is, if this is a factor, then we know when it equals 0, we can get the root. So yeah, let's put this equals 0 and move the 1 over. We get x is equal 1 over 2. This is a root of this polynomial. Just like the same here, x is equal to 3. These are roots of this polynomial. What that allows us to do is we can put in p half and know we're going to get 0 out of this. So if we put in a half here, half to the power of 4 is 1 over 16. A times 1 over 16, A over 16. Put a half in for each of these. We get B over 8, 13 over 4, minus 35 over 2, plus 15. And we know this all equals 0. We can clean this up a lot. Multiply everyone by 16. This becomes A. This becomes 2B. This becomes, let me just cheat here and use my notes. This becomes 52. This becomes minus 280, and this becomes 240. Yeah. Again, we can clean this up a little bit. A plus B. Move everything over the right-hand side, and we'd get minus 12, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yeah, looks about, about right, minus 12. Sorry, I'm missing something here, 2b. So that's one of our clues have given us this equation here, this equation with two unknowns. We put the second one in, we get P3, we put that in. Again, I'll cheat and use my notes. 3 to the power 4 is 81a plus 27b. And let's again cheat, plus 117 minus 105 plus 15 equals 0. Clean this up, we get 81a plus 27b is equal minus 27. Clean it up more, 27 goes into everyone. We get 3a plus b is equal to minus 1. There's two equations with two unknowns. We just have a simultaneous equation. I'll squeeze it in over here without rubbing anything off. A plus 2b is equal minus 12. This one, let's write double this one. We'll write 6a plus 2b equals minus 2. That was just to line up these two b's here. We can take one from the other. Let's take the top one away from the bottom. So basically turn the top one minus. 6a minus a, we'll get 5a's. They'll cancel. Minus 2 minus minus 12. That's minus 2 plus 12. That's equal to 10. A is equal to 2. And just put 2 back into either one of these, and you should get B is equal minus 7. That's your answer for part A. If you are finding my videos useful and would like to help the channel out, on top of liking and subscribing, probably the best thing you could do is to tell other people doing the exam about my channel. Maybe you could share this video in a class WhatsApp group. Then if you feel I've really deserved it and you would like to buy me a coffee, you could become a member on YouTube or on Patreon. You should find links to that in the description below. For part B, they'd like us to factorize the polynomial we had. But what a lot of students, I think, forget to do is we found A and B, so we should write the polynomial again. But this time we should put in the numbers 2 instead of A and minus 7 instead of B. What were the rest? 13x squared minus 35x plus 15. So we want to factorize this. Remember, we already know two factors. We know 2x minus 1 is a factor, and we know x minus 3 is a factor. There's actually only one more factor, but it looks like there's two more. X, 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 and another x to get 4 x's. So we think we're looking for these two factors. Often when we're looking for two factors, though, we can just look for one quadratic and then separate that later. Again, spoiler alert, but we won't be able to separate out this quadratic. So how do you do this? There's a couple of ways here. Again, you could divide factors in, although the easiest way would be everything I'm going to do is going to multiply these two together. So let me do that. Two factors multiplied together is also a factor. X by x is 2x squared. Let's see, minus x minus 6x, there's minus 7x's there, and minus 1 by minus 3 is plus 3. This is also a factor. So to find the other quadratic here, let's leave this as 2. To find the other quadratic here, you could divide this into that. That'd be perfectly fine. I find it's a lot easier than that, though, if you think it through a little. There's some sort of quadratic here, something x squared. What has to multiply by this guy? This multiplied by this guy has to equal this. So what has to be here? It has to be 1x squared. So you don't need to do any maths really. We just know there has to be just 1x squared here to equal up here. And it's the same for the last number. 3 must multiply by something to get 15. It must be a 5. The only thing we don't know is the middle number here. Just call it some letter if you want. I'll use CX in this case because we used A and B earlier, but any letter you want really. And how do you find this? Well, these combine to make these three numbers here. We've used these two, and they're not involved in CX. That's how I was able to do it in my head. But CX here is involved in all three of these. So you just pick whichever one you want, and we can solve this. Another spoiler though, the middle one's a little harder. It's a bit more complicated. There's multiple C's involved. And all of them worked. I'm just going to use this one here, minus 35. How does minus 35x, how does that come to be? How does these two multiply to get this? 2x squared can't multiply by anything to get an x. So he's not involved. Minus 7. Minus 7 is involved. Minus 7 must multiply by, should we plus there? Minus 7 multiplied by this number. That would help get this. And that, in fact, is minus 35x. Won't always look like that. Because there's another option. 3 could multiply by this one. And that'd be 3cx. We just solved this for x. All the x's cancel. So we don't even have to write them in to begin with. In this case, 35 and 35 cancel. Add both sides. We're left with 0 equals 3c. And we're left with c is equal 0. This is a special case, this one. It turns out the number that was here is 0. So the answer to this question, is that. Let me write it out though one more time. Let me just rub it out there. That's your answer. X squared plus 5 is the other factor here. Usually you would have to separate this out, factorize x squared plus 5. You can't though, unless you're willing to use complex numbers, which isn't in paper 2's curriculum. So you're not able to factorize this. That's as good as you can get. The three factors are this guy, and this one here. That's your full marks for part B. For part C, they want us to find the least positive value for something. Forget about that for a moment. We'll deal with that in the end. All that means is there's going to be multiple answers. They just want a specific one. What they want you to solve is P of cotan of 2 theta equals 0. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I don't use cotans or cosecs or any of those. So I'm going to change this to just 1 over tan of 2 theta. That's all they're asking. Okay, so how do you solve this? There's only 2 marks for this, so it's not actually a lot of work involved. What they want you to, at this point, notice, the answer to this is the same as the answer to px equals 0. Just replace x with 1 over tan theta. And when this equals 0, all 3 of these equal 0. So the answer, we know the answer to this. It's x is equal to a half. Sometimes it's x is equal to 3, or it's x squared is equal to minus 5. And this one here has no answer. There's no answer to x squared equals a negative number. So that one's gone. So there's only really 2 options in this. Instead of x, though, we can write 1 over tan 2 theta must equal a half, or 1 over tan 2 theta is equal 3. They're the only 2 options. We can rearrange both of these. We'd get tan 2 theta is equal 2, or tan of 2 theta is equal to a third. You could just go ahead and solve both of these, and then you need to worry about the least positive, because you get infinite answers for both of these. But half of them are negative, so you can throw them away. So you're just looking for the smallest answer of all these. Shouldn't be too hard to do at this point, but I will just make it a little more complicated by drawing this. It's always good to draw. A tangent of something looks like this. Continues on, looks like this. Okay, there's multiple answers here. When tan 2 theta equals 2, I'll say 2 is here. Lots of answers here. Infinite answers. We don't care about this one, even though it's we still have to divide by 2, remember. This is going to be a negative, so throw that away. This one, even when we divide by 2 or divide by 2, this one's going to be the smallest. This is the only one I care about for 2 anyway. But there's another option. There's a third that's here. Again, lots of answers. That's a negative, don't care. These are all bigger than this one, so don't care. So what's the very smallest one of all these? It's this one here. Let's put an X. Well, that's a bit confusing. This is the one I care about. This one is too big. The least positive value. It must be this answer here, coming from this question here. So you just go ahead and solve this. 2 theta is equal the inverse tan of that. Let's see. I have it here. 0.32175 divided by 2. We get 0.161 to 3 significant figures. It does it in radians, they want, don't they? Yeah, they do. Okay. So that's your only answer. You would also get an answer over here. I have it here, actually. This answer would be 0.554. It's okay if you got both of these, but it's very important at the very end, you need to tell the examiner that one's not correct. You can do it by just putting an X through it. That's fine. The examiner at the very end needs just one answer, not 2 of them, because they wanted the smallest positive one. So this answer here, because there was like this answer here would be, I guess, 90 away once you divide it by 2. I can't do that in my head, but there's many other answers. It's just these are too big, these are too negative, and this one here is slightly too big. This one is the perfect one. Okay, that's it for question 5. If you have any follow-on questions, let me know. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching and have a great day.